The biggest thing that I always hear is like, I'm just not happy. I'm not happy. I don't know my purpose.
When you are content to not compete nor compare, you will truly understand what happiness is. I firmly believe that the children are our future, and I firmly believe that currently our society as a whole is failing our youth as a whole. I am hugely against New Year's resolutions. I don't understand why you would.
My guest today on Rebel Roots is the one and the only Mr. Patrick. So we've only known each other maybe a year and a half now that I've been in Toastmasters.
Absolutely.
But his energy that he brings every Tuesday morning, and like even when I've seen him outside of the Toastmasters meeting, he is always positive. He's always the one, if I give a speech or do anything in Toastmasters, sends me a text almost immediately. If not immediately, it's like about 30 minutes after. Sends positive quotes every day, but my first question to you is, have you always been like this? Have you always been? Because a little birdie told me last night when we were walking the loop that you have a pretty rebel beginning to life. Some rebel root to go there.
Right.
Let's go there first. Let's go, take me back, because my theory is that the things that we experience in our childhood actually make us who we are today. And so take me back there and tell me who you were as a kid.
Cool. So if we go all the way back to then, first and foremost, outstanding mother and father. I will give them all the credit in the world. I do understand at this point in my life how fortunate and blessed I am, and I do my best to not take any of that for granted. My mother was certainly my first supporter, motivator, but I do not want to discount anything from my father, who gave me discipline, direction. They're both full of love and kindness as well. When I was a little kid, I think at the age of like 6, we moved from Ohio to the greater Raleigh, North Carolina area. And I had, you can still see it right here. There's this scar. It's very, very not a big deal anymore. But when I was a little kid moving to the new school, I had a fuzzy birthmark on the side of my face about the size of my thumb, right? So kids being kids, be it as it may, there was a lot of bullying, smack talk, laughter at my expense. I kind of, at that point, was able to start to grow into current day me, but it was a slow and steady grind. So you're getting bullied, and you got two options, right? You kind of grow with it, accept it, deflect it, realize that other people's words are just their words, and really, especially with the help of my parents, my mother, my big sister, you realize that you get to decide who you want to be and what words impact you and what words don't impact you. So yeah, it's definitely the outstanding foundation from my family. But I was an ugly little kid too. So I had jacked up teeth. I mean, like they were going this way, and teeth, fuzzy birthmark, like a bowl cut before I got into like the late 80s, early 90s, feathering and using a hair dryer. And you can tell that at this point in my life, my opinion of hair is to heck with that. I can still grow hair. I choose not to grow hair. Moving on. So that's at least like the foundation. And then at, I think like 12. At 12-ish, got the birthmark cut off the side of my face, got braces, got puberty, got so many different sports teams, and started to get my foray into theater, acting, the stage performances as well. then muscles, then women. So the super beginning of maybe unhappy, a little bit shameful, a little bit sad, kind of bullied, that was all in the past. Now I was developing into this egomaniacal maniac, which we'll just keep riding the wave at this point, Miss Evonne. So that kind of gets me into my teens, right? And man, in high school, I was the belle of the ball, everything. Student body president. I volunteered for local elections, captain of the varsity soccer team, all conference, #1 theater performer for the drama club. I got the appropriate grades I needed to get, which in my family were A's and B's. I think there was like a C and there might have even been a D. But since there were so many A's and B's, I was allowed to grow and flourish. Through growing and flourishing, you come across a lot of opportunities to make terrible choices. So there was a large period of time, 16 to 18, probably like junior and senior year in high school, where I didn't know then because I was a dumb kid, right, as we all were.
Right.
But I realize now I was living like a two-sided life. There was the front-facing life that I needed my parents to see, my teachers to see, my coaches to see, the members at the church to see. And then there was my behind-the-scenes life, which was all the nonsense that the youth could possibly get into and at too early of an age, and the drinking and the drugs and the womenizing and the jobs and the firings and those types of things. Thankfully, I had already been accepted into college, and off to college I go. I was very, very excited and fortunate to attend UNC Wilmington right here in town. And I was on the varsity soccer team my freshman year. I did not play because I was a freshman, and I was known. It was known to me that I was going to be the backup to the backup. Too much spare time on my hands, continuously making more poor choices. UNCW had requested me to no longer attend their college. Some people call that being kicked out of college. Yeah, not once, but twice. They were nice enough to let me back in a couple of years later, and I went back. And the first time was certainly for disciplinary reasons. The second time was I just didn't go to class anymore. I wasn't getting grades. I wasn't getting grades because in order to get grades, you have to go to class. But I was already too interested in starting to try to figure out to make money, and it didn't seem to make as much sense to me, as I guess there's a large movement in the world these days also. Why am I going to school spending money when I could just go over here and work and make money? And so now to answer the full scope of the original question, sorta. At 20, I was able to secure my first grown-up job. So in other words, to get out of the restaurant industry that I had worn every hat in, from management to bartender to host to dish pit to line cook. But I had an opportunity to segue into the jewelry industry. And even at 20, I was now wearing suits, ties. I was a well-dressed 20-year-old who looked the part of sharp, young professional. I still wasn't that sharp. I was slowly becoming professional.
Were you still single at the time?
I was single at that time. Yeah, I was single at that time. So yes, I'm picking up what you're putting down as you're picking up what I'm putting down, being well dressed in a space. And always linguistically blessed, um, was useful, but I was still living a two-sided life. I really was. But now I was just doing it to myself. But with Reed's Jewelers, shout out Reed's Jewelers.
I love Reed's.
Me too, man. Me too. Some of my greatest friends and longstanding confidants are still affiliated with that company.
Did you know that Clean Eatz we got someone married there? We had our first Clean Eatz wedding from one of the Reed's girls.
I need to connect a few more dots, huh?
I know. I'm here blonde. It wasn't Carrie. It was, she was in Mayfair.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll think of her name. That's terrible.
It wouldn't have been Melissa.
No.
But how does Clean Eatz have marriages? What?
So anyway, she came into Clean Eatz and ate every day. And, Brian is her husband's name. My gosh, she's going to die if she hears this. But anyway, she came in and she had her sandwich on the table. Brian comes in. She had gotten up and ate half of her wrap, went to the bathroom. Brian throws away her sandwich. She comes back out of the bathroom and is like, hey, where did my food go? And he's like, you're in my chair. She's like, no, this is my chair. And he ends up apologizing, buys her a sandwich, and then she leaves, takes it back to work with her because she's off for a lunch break. Yep. And then anyway, he asked me for her number and I gave it to him, and they started dating and got married on Bald Head.
Now I understand Clean Eatz marriage. They were a couple whose dating kinship was founded at Clean Eatz.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
And she was, and I'm going to think of her name before the end of this podcast. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So,
that's okay. I look forward to that.
You are fulfilling women's needs.
Oh, wow. Yes, I was, though. But I mean, in more than one way, but mostly focusing on the jewelry.
I meant diamonds, Patrick. You can ride out the gutter. Diamonds.
I felt like you. Okay. But one of their driving principles, right? So I was just coming of age. I was starting to realize that I should tighten up this ship. And their number one core principle is a positive mental attitude. So at the ripe age of 20, segueing into 21, this positive mental attitude, and it is instilled in you. You are trained on it. And I liked it so much that I said, well, I want more and more and more. Long story short, I took their step one of foundational success, which is positive mental attitude, and I determined that would be Patrick's secret sauce for the rest of forever in life, in work, in business, in pleasure, in families, in relationships, is positive mental attitude. So fast forward 25 odd so years later, that is how I turned into me. And these days it's all the podcasts I can listen to, podcasts I can be on, relationships I can foster, relationships I bump into, all the books. I've been to a handful of live speaking events for some of the most notorious motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, Roy Williams, old basketball coach at UNC, so many, and Michael J. Fox, and the guy who wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, whose name is eluding me, but I love that guy. Darn it. So I just got drunk on all the PMA. And then what I found out is if you're me, good sentence. The me I turned into, I like myself. My wife likes me. Super important. We don't just love each other. We also really like each other. And
how long have you guys?
19 years, celebrating 20 this coming July.
Okay.
And she was a huge motivator. Well, that sounds like she was pointing at me. She wasn't. My wife's awesome. She's smart.
Yeah.
She's sweet. She's attractive. She's sweet. She's tender. She's better than me. Like I married up in class, just keeping it real. I would say that if she was sitting next to me, she's heard it before. But as I'm getting engulfed in this positive mental attitude, then I also see this beautiful woman, and I'm thinking to myself, this beautiful woman's never going to want to have anything to do with this loudmouth, uncontrolled, crazy person. But if I could foster all of these things together and become very positive, and then maybe that would woo her. And then long story short, it all worked. And that's where we are these days. That's the simple answer to a simple question.
So, I always feel like you did not blame your parents, and a lot of us, they'll say, I got a rough start. I did all this, but I don't think that that's sometimes accurate. I think we're, again, where we're supposed to be at that moment. And that's who frames us moving along. But, just from the acts of bullying, the drugs, the alcohol, can you look back now and be like, you know what? All that had to happen for me to be here where I am currently. Or do you look back and be like, no, I was just dumbass and I didn't have to go all of that. I could have fast forwarded and been here too.
So the question alone gave me goosebumps, as I wanted to make sure that I listened before I responded. And thank you for the goosebumps. They mean a lot to me. I'm a firm believer of the butterfly effect. Firm believer. So to answer your super simple question, it's all part of my path. I really wouldn't change a thing, because if butterfly effect, if I change one thing, it changes more things. If I wouldn't have screwed up in college, maybe I don't link up with Reed's. If I don't link up with Reed's, maybe I never meet Monica. That's my wife's name. Excuse me. Maybe I never meet Monica. And so on and so forth and so on and so forth. It's such a powerful question. And my answer is, I wish I had even more to say, but just, nope, it was all part of the path. And I'm grateful.
Just down to the birthmark. You needed to have that birthmark, which you thought was like the worst thing in the possible world, that you had that when you were born, but then, man, you wouldn't have been able to maybe grow thick enough skin to be where you're at now. And because, hey, I love your personality, but I know that sometimes people give you crap about how strong your personality is and bouncing and being positive and all that. And so, but maybe that's where you got the thick skin that you can be who you are today and say, F all of you guys. I'm going to bounce around in my pajamas and Toastmasters. And you don't like my cup of tea, don't do it. But I think, especially with social media now, we're all striving for the likes, the comments, all of that. But I feel like that our kids now are not developing that damn thick skin that they need to, because we're all gratifying them, that instant gratification. And I'm not saying all parents are doing that. So no,
clean this up in editing.
But again, are we raising, and I know that you, Monica, don't have kids, and is that a whole nother story that we need to go down, or?
Well, we can intertwine some of the feedback with the story, but I want to say to you on the point you were just making that I completely agree with the point you were just making. Monica and I may have chosen not to be parents of two-legged creatures. Lots of factors, lots of reasons. But when I was 29 years old, I ran for the New Hanover County School Board, an elected political office, because when I did go to college, my initial goal was to be a teacher. And I firmly believe that the children are our future. Thank you, Whitney Houston. And I firmly believe that currently our society as a whole is failing our youth as a whole, outliers, but as a whole, because our youth are a mirrored image of their surroundings. And with people who do not have the ability to control their emotions, with people who do not have the discipline to, well, so many entities, rather it be health, economics, spirituality, so many entities, a lack of discipline. So then rough parents, I like the word rough. Rough parents are producing rough children because the children are only a byproduct of their environment. So cell phone addicted parents who maybe had a little bit of the 70s and 80s and 90s where you had these real life events and things like that, which positions us adults a little bit differently than the youth who have only know mom and dad addicted to phone. I will be addicted to phone. Mom and dad lose their cool, lash out over things they see on the phone. I will lash out over things I see on the phone. Somehow along the way, I think it's a Maya Angelou quote, but it's somebody smarter than me. Words only have impact if you allow them to. So going back to the cup of tea thing, yeah, I'm pretty certain that 75% of everybody enjoys the Patrick that I am, and 25% of everybody hate every second of it. I want to congratulate both sides. I want to hang out with the 75%. I want to foster those relationships. And the 25% that hates everything about me, that's okay. That's okay. We're not all going to be friends. Doesn't mean we're enemies. We're not all going to be each other's cup of tea. Doesn't mean you can't drink tea. But I'm not going to spend my time, energy, enthusiasm, optimistic mindset trying to seduce or endorse people to like me. Because then you get into those chapters of the books that when I get to that chapter in the book, I skip that chapter where it discusses wearing masks and masquerading as someone you are not. What? I want to take all those people who wear those masks and be like, come on, let's go sit down. I'll get the cup of coffee and let's talk through this. Why have you allowed yourself to even start to feel this way? And the answer is so many people haven't done the self-work to find their self-worth. And when you find your self-worth, nobody can take it from you. Nobody can take it from you. And you don't need false accreditations, and things of that nature. Matter of fact, super simple goosebump moment earlier this week when you were kind enough to tell me in text how much you appreciated my Christmas speech of the cool and calmer version of Patrick that he does have. He just doesn't use this fellow very often. And you said, gosh, I feel like you should have won. But I had already won because you had just told me that I impacted you. That is winning. I mean, that is the truest sense of the impact and influence I hope I have in this world. In this whole world, I hope I'm leaving impacts and making influences in a positive direction. If I am, I'm doing it. If I'm not, I'm going to continue to try.
Well, I just, my big thing is I feel like the world around us is, I don't want to say the most depressed, but the biggest thing that I always hear is I'm just not happy. I'm not happy. I don't know my purpose. And I feel like that is such a common thing because none of us let ourselves be our authentic self because you're always trying to, we've let the noise come in. And we let the noise direct to who we want to be. And so we do wear all these masks. And part of like my impact is I'm like, take off the damn mask and just be who you are. And if you could get back to, I truly feel like when we were born, we all had that purpose, and then somehow we diverted all around it, and that's fine. But for the ones who are sitting there trying to find their purpose, trying to be happy, I'm like, think back to the happiest moments that we were with as a kid. And that's probably where you need to be and end up. And I'm like the perfect example of that because I wanted to get off the farm. I hated the farm life. I thought my parents were just podunk redneck, and I wanted to live big city, and I wanted to wear, I just wanted the hustle, the bustle. I wanted that New York City vibe. And then I get it and I'm like, this ain't me. And where am I at? I'm back on the farm again. And my parents laugh all the time. They're like, remember when you said all these mean things to me? And I'm like, yeah. But again, it's just the authentic self. So I guess, again, I've never seen you in a bad mood. I've never seen you. I don't think I've ever seen, except for that speech the other day. And that wasn't even low energy. That was just a different side of you. But how do you we're going into 2026. What are you doing to keep the noise out? And I'm setting boundaries this year. My theme is magnetize and protect. So I want to attract all the things that need to a thing, but I'm going to set my boundaries because I really do give too much to things that I don't need to give my time to. And then I'm the one who suffers. So I'm going to start protecting those. But tell me what you're doing for 2026.
Good for you, by the way, and everything you just said in those last 3 or 4 sentences. Hell yes, sister. Own it. Control your days, control your destiny, and certainly don't let any of those distractions creep in. Man, I end up sounding like a broken record, and that's okay. Because if it's broke, you don't need to fix it. Hold on, wait a minute. If it's not,
you hear it 7 times, think in, so you're good.
If it's not broken, you don't need to fix it. I'll try to get that quote correct. So I start with the simplest things and the sincere controllables. People bust my chops when I say every day, so I've started to adjust to about 300 times a year. I wake up at 5:27 in the morning. I feed my dogs because I'm a rebel in everything I do. Yeah.
You can't be on an even number. It's got to be 5.
No. The path that I'm so grateful for that is constantly being paved has to be consciously paved to be the distinct individual that I want to be. So I get up at 5:27. I feed the boys, AKA my 2 4-legged critters, Cleveland and Reagan, shout out. I then leave them behind. My wife is not out of bed. I do not see her before I go to the gym. When I get to the gym, I immediately send out 7 different strings of texts to approximately 45 people every morning, which is some sort of affirmation, contemplation, motivation, which you can, done. You're going to be on the list. Okay, done. You will be added as of tomorrow. So then I get a whole lot of gratitude immediately from these 40 to 45 people. But I'm also full of gratitude when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And all the thoughts that I'm garnering that come to me from all over the world. I got Mondays 2 days ago from my mother-in-law's bathroom picture thing. It said, a great day starts with a great mindset. I mean, right? It's the simplest thing. Sometimes it's right in front of you. So now I'm fostering optimism and positivity right there at about 6:05 a.m., almost like clockwork. I then exercise for an hour and a half, 300-ish times a year. I get home, walk the dogs. Now I see my wife. I marvel in her glory and her beauty, in our companionship. Then I try to go make money in this world.
Which you're not at Reach for. And we'll talk about that as soon as you get done with your routine here.
Truth. And so then, the money process of it all throughout the day, because even if these things cause a lot of challenges, they also can offer great relationship nurturing. But I mean like authentic relationships. So maybe somebody I know just had a surgery. I want to check in on them. Maybe somebody's having a birthday. I want to shoot them some birthday wishes. Maybe somebody popped in my head from something college. I'm just going to go ahead and hit them up too. Hope things are well. Hope the family's well. So I want to continue to spread that love and that touch and that influence throughout the day. 5 out of 7 days a week, I prepare supper for Monica and I. We eat supper together. We talk about the highs and lows of our days. And like, that's the real. That's the duplicatable stuff, Then, I can add all the other things, which is, all the trips, all the travel, all the concerts, all the sporting events. But those are really the minute parts that I certainly appreciate and exonerate and have a ball living my outrageous life. But the controllables are what allow me to constantly be the me that I am. I do not allow distractions into my space. I just don't. I've had to cut some fat over the years, be it personal or professional. I'm not saying that I have an expectation that people grow like I do or make choices like I do. But if you're an anchor, I've got to cast you aside. Yeah, misery loves company, but you're not taking me with you. And that's a Patrick Giarelli quote right there. And so that's
what do you do to cut? Tell me like your 3 non-negotiables then. If you're cutting the fat from either personal or professional, what's the non-negotiables on that?
So 1, I do not lie. Okay, like I'm Jesus over here walking on water. I do my absolute best at a 99% clip to not lie, cheat, and steal. If you are in my sphere, personally or professionally, and I see you lying, cheating, and stealing, we will have a breakup. Because in order to be authentic, I'm looking for authentic people to share my life with. And if you lie, cheat, and steal through your life, there's somebody for you out there, but it's just not me. Even as I am making a foray into social media, I'll get back to picking on myself in a second. A boundary is I only have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram on my computer. Okay. I don't have it on this computer because I don't want to touch it that much. I pick on these people, so I don't want to become one. The people at the airport, what a beautiful melting pot. There's so many opportunities to nurture new relationships, foster some optimism, be kind to people, or I can slink, shrug. Yeah, I can get small into one of those chairs, and then I can just scroll and pretend like there's no real world all around me, but there is a real world. And the more that we get involved with the real world, we find out that there's so many other interconnected opportunities and relationships all around us. And this person at the airport, actually, their brother is your neighbor. And you never, oh my gosh, wow. And I say goofy stuff like the good old days, the 80s and 90s, where we knew each other's neighbors and we knew their children's names and like all the things because we weren't as distracted. But that would be a couple right there. Yes, just getting into social media. I'm pretty confident I was the last person on the planet to text message. So then, of course, I now am one of the last people on the planet to get into social media. And there's still a huge portion of me that says, I don't need any of it. There's also now a small portion of me that says, don't be so brash to have the opportunities that social media can present leave you behind.
Right.
So
because anything that you're doing on your text messages, you could be given to the entire world, right?
So one of my cohorts from the play this past spring, once I got onto social media and told Malia about it, her initial response was, "Now you can touch the world even larger," and that like grew my heart. I felt like the Grinch. My heart grew 3 times larger, and so that is that's certainly a part of that path as well, both on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. And soon there will be a TikTok. TikToks go in your mouth. TikTok plays with your phone. There will be a TikTok. Damn it. Whatever it is, TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I've been confident about it for quite some time. And even as a very disciplined person, I still have areas to grow daily, weekly, yearly. Because I'm one way or another, gosh darn it, sooner than later, I will be a full-time, real deal, motivational influencer, speaker. I'm not going to say the world needs more of me, but I'm not going to say the world needs more of me, because it doesn't actually have to be me. But it needs to be people like me. And I've already picked on myself. I'm not trying to be egomaniacal, but sure. If I'd rather be the windshield or the bug, I'll be the windshield every day. Watch out the way, bugs. And I got windshield wipers. But somebody's got to do the good stuff. Somebody's got to get the grocery carts that are just wandering throughout the parking lot and take them back inside. Somebody's got to open the door for everyone, not just women, not just children. Open the door for everyone. If I was to give the world a share and you want to slowly grow, start with one simple, kind act today. And then it starts to permeate and it starts to grow. And then you feel Christmas in your heart all year round. And then once you have it and you feel it and you want it and you want more of it and you want more of it and you get more of it and you give more of it, because you get what you give and you give what you get. And I'm just addicted to all of it these days. I'm just wholeheartedly.
That's what I was going to say. If you're given all of this, how do you fulfill your cup? Is it the giving actually fills your cup? I mean, because sometimes it's a reverse for me. The more I give, the emptier I feel sometimes. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but sometimes it's just exhausting work.
I think it certainly can go both directions. And I think it does go both directions, even for me. But I would say that the giving fills that cup and fills that cup and fills that cup. So even if there's a little bit that seeps out the side, because the cup is so full, I'm like, it's all right, and everything's not easy. Life is hard. Public service announcement, life is hard. But if you surround yourself with controllables, ish. So I always start with family. That's not exactly controllable, but it's sort of controllable, because as I've said before, if my family was toxic, I would choose not to surround myself with them. I also choose that my wife's family is also awesome. And if my wife's family, she just heard this 2 days ago in the car, if they didn't like me, my wife and I would not be together. I can't imagine. We all have those coworkers or friends who say stuff like, I got to go see the in-laws. I'm like, sweet, I get to go see my in-laws. So first and foremost, what do? You surround yourself with like-minded people. And you get drunk on that. It starts with family, potentially. It certainly goes into your friends, your coworkers. Sometimes coworkers can be unavoidable, but again, and this is the hard part for so many people, we don't get to control what that PETA coworker does.
No.
We only get to control how we act and react to it. So basically, when I see miserable people, again, misery loves company, but I'm not coming with you. I don't give back misery. When I see hate, I don't give back hate. So because my cup is so full, you're going to be hard pressed to have me go low, because if you're mean, I'm going to be kind. If you're hateful, I'm going to be loving. If you're full of excuses, I'm going to be full of reality. And then, I mean, my people, you're one of my people. So many, fortunate to have so many people. They know that you can, no matter what you say and do, I'm going to find the optimistic lens for your current predicament, or I'm just going to give you a hell of a hard time for pretending like the world is falling apart all around you, because we all live in the exact same world and it's not that big a deal. You know, apply the 5-5-5, right? And 5 minutes from now, is it still going to be a big deal? Okay, probably. And 5 days from now, is it still going to be a big deal? Probably not. Probably not. 5 years from now, will you remember eliciting this negative moment into? Hell no. Hell no. So don't even give it 5 minutes. Don't even give it 5 minutes. So I refuse to argue. It's not my thing. Another one of my simple quotes would be, children argue and I'm an adult. I don't argue. I don't argue with my wife. Again, we actually like each other. We don't argue. I won't argue with my siblings. And for the handful of people in this world who demand to argue, or really they have a desire to be right, I just let them be right, because what they need is to be right. I don't need to be right. So if I can build them up by letting them be right, they haven't torn me down, because I understand what I'm looking at. It's not that big a deal. Their challenges won't turn into my challenges. Yeah.
There is so much in that information, and everyone needs to go back and re-listen to that, because one act of kindness, the 5-5-5, which I've never heard of the 5-5-5 theory, unless that's is that your theory, or did you read that somewhere?
I think I read a 10. I think I read a 10-10-10. I think I adapted it to 5-5-5, but nonetheless.
Yeah, 10 is too much. But yeah, and there's just so much there. And yeah, I'm psyched up for 2026 rolling in here with all that information that you just kind of said. And I don't even know where 2026, we going to see you on stage.
So 2026, one of your great friends and mine as well, Miss DSV, shout out, you helped in 2025 and gave a whole speech about it. Picking a word.
Oh, the theme. Theme.
And so I am hugely against New Year's resolutions.
Yep.
Everybody knows this. I don't understand why you would wait for an arbitrary day to become the change you want to be. The moment you decide you want to change. Hey. Right? What are we waiting for? And then lots of love, but a little bit of humor here. Like, for all the fakers who choose their New Year's resolution anyways, bruh, you know, the moment that you've chosen your false New Year's resolution, that you got about a 2-week run with it. I'm going to exercise 3 days a week. No, you're not. Because you would already be doing it. You don't have to write it. I mean, I do write things down, but I don't need the world's approval to change. I don't need to tell anyone that I'm going to change. Just change. But because of the theme, my theme is influence.
What?
Even if that may have been half of everything we just discussed, and it's still 2025, but we're on the precipice of 2026, my intent to influence is bigger and bolder than ever. Going back a few years now, I was determined that I wanted to give a TED Talk. Determined. It's realistically speaking, it is the number one thing that brought me to Toastmasters 3.5 years ago. And then thankfully and graciously, one way or another, application process, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. I, like yourself, have been selected to give a TED Talk at TEDx Airly on May 15th. I'm hoping, I'm down with hope. I'm hoping and anticipating that will be influential. I also, because of this foray into social media, it's my goal to use the social media to broaden my influence, but even more, even bigger, even bolder. And I want to take the TEDx, and I want to take this podcast. And I was very fortunate to be on another podcast just a couple of weeks ago, and I want to use all these things, and I want to continue to influence not only my true sphere, which I'm so fortunate, my sphere is large and beautiful, but I want to start to influence people outside of my sphere. I think that's real. I think that's where the real power will come from. And I'm willing to do just about anything that is ethical and moral to do it. And I want to get a little crazy with it. I'm thinking about possibly getting some permits and just posting up at different street corners downtown over 2026 with my bullhorn and just talking about stoicism and kindness and handing out waters and talking to homeless people. I mean, there's so many opportunities to influence if we would slow down and see all of the opportunities that are around us in everything that we do. Because if you are interacting with other humans, there is an opportunity for influence. And that's what I want to bring. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. And then all the other things as well. But, that's the theme. That is the theme.
I love it. And if there's anybody that can pull that off and succeed, it is definitely you. All right. I was going to ask you for your final thoughts, but that was pretty mic drop right there. Do you have anything else?
I don't know.
I'm just getting fired up.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, golly, I could do. I mean, once we get into next level conversations, or I sometimes also call them enlightened conversations, my heart becomes ablaze, and I just want to share and share and share and share and share. But
I find you this podcast is going to be epic with you, because I'm like, once you get going, it's going to be so much information.
My final thoughts, I probably a couple, there's a Lay Tao quote. This is my favorite quote in the world. It's one that I've adjusted. So I'll give you the full quote, and then I'll tell you how I've adjusted it to tie all the way back into one of your questions about controlling our happiness. So Lay Tao says, when you are content to not compare nor compete, you will become respected by everyone. Okay. And that's dope. I'm down with that. I am so down with that. And because again, that's pretty much my favorite quote. It's the foundation of the Giarelli modified quote. My quote is, when you are content to not compete nor compare, you will truly understand what happiness is. And I firmly believe that if people would just harness all that they have, don't worry about the Joneses. Everybody's on a different path, right? So even as you start to compare and you're competing, but you're not comparing and competing on a balanced playing field.
You create the story. You create the story in your head that's not even a reality.
100%. And so like all of those people, I just want to hug them. I just want to hug everybody, because I'm quite confident that realistically speaking, when it's all said and done, what we all really need is a little more love in this world. But how would we do that? We would just love each other a little bit more. Don't be mean. Be nice. Tell people congratulations. Don't play or hate. I mean, like, and if you break all that down, right? The haters don't hate you. They hate themselves.
Yeah.
The naysayers aren't upset at your success. They're disappointed in the lack of success that they have. And so like, again, why even let that into your space if you can slow down and realize they just don't like themselves? I hope they find themselves. I hope they figure out what makes them tick.
Yeah.
Because
and pretty much everything that they hate about you is triggering something that they wish they were themselves. So
right.
hate is always a trigger, I feel like. So
man. And it's an emotion of the weak. The strong don't have to spend much time on hate because you're going low. You're going low. The strong don't need to go low. Stay on your path. Stay on your path. And if people want to come on your path, they can probably come hang out. But hatred, anger, I just deflect it. And so, like, what an amazing compliment that you said at some point on this podcast, which was, I don't know if I've ever really seen you have a bad day or a bad moment. They exist. They're very few and far between. And because of that, I just foster love and joy and kindness and happiness. And because it works, just keep doing it. So, I mean, just in the last 3 weeks, I've gotten 15-ish new books that will fire my soul for the next year and a half. And I will read every day. I will exercise every day. Again, haters, almost every day. But you got to pour into yourself if you want to like yourself and win in this world, and understanding that winning probably doesn't have to do with a title or a paycheck. When I was young and dumb and poor, I was still pretty gosh dang happy. When I was in my 30s, I wasn't as young, as dumb, or as poor, even happier. And now I find myself in my mid to late 40s. Economically speaking, I don't know. There's something in the bank, but I'm not near as dumb as I once was. And it's just by fostering all these awesome opportunities and just capturing every second. That's probably another thing, is people waste so much time. Oh, I don't want to go to that topic right here, right now. But just, it's your day. It's your day. It's your year. It's your life. Run that thing the way you want. It's available for every single one of us.
Check him out May 15th on the TEDx stage, and I'll be there too.
Yeah.
And look for Patrick on your street corner and with the bullhorn and passing out water and screaming love with you. I love you, and thank you for doing this.
Love you too, man. Thank you so much for the invitation.